Alright. I'm praying through it, man. I'm trying to figure it out where to make this video at, but I like this little location. I like this. I'm gonna leave it right there. Alright, what's up, y'all? Is that good? That's what I'm gonna do. Alright. Alright, I feel right about it. What's up? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is one of our fourths to our company, In The Image Clothing Company's main side. This is where it all started and still just our main side. Our whole key phrase is, key word, allowing the human body to work. And yeah, this video I'm going to talk about just the average modern t-shirt and all the things that are wrong with it. Not an opinion, not because I think I know what's right, but because it's altering the body. And this is a really weirdly unconventional video, if I were to say. I've made hundreds of videos for In The Image Clothing Company, and this is like a weird location, bro. So anyway, I'll get into it, but first I'll talk about each of the other three sides of our company, where clothing sits, and then I'll show the modifications that I'll do to this t-shirt that you seriously will have to do if shirts have these type of things in the design. Otherwise your body's being damaged and altered, and I'll show how that is, right? As we talk about, truth is truth. It's as obvious as it is once you see it, right? It's as real as it gets. Clothing is the only fix to human beings' physical pain. It's the only thing placed on us with a center line. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing the entire body. Clothing has to stay centered, otherwise the body's damaged, okay? Feet arches opposing the center, gripping inward, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. And this is a very unconventional video, if I'm saying it. So, yes, In The Image Clothing Company clothing will always be made from 100% natural materials, stay centered, fit correct, where I will discuss in a minute, and that's how we just don't alter our bodies, because they can only do what God designed them to. So, another fourth of our company is In The Image Clothing Company podcast, where I get into deep, blunt, bold, raw, real discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're on episode 119 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of last night. Check it out if you'd like to. It's really great. We have another fourth of us, In The Image Clothing Company music. I show how to size and set up guitars, because the hands are essentially the shoulders and the feet are essentially the hips of the human being. So we can't be altering our hands, and I show how that is done, okay? Also, music that I've made is placed on In The Image Clothing Company music. One other fourth of us, the last one that I haven't mentioned here, In The Image Clothing Company poodles. We have our In The Image Clothing Company poodle purebred, standard poodle, AKC registered, proper dog breeding program to come, okay? As of today's date, it's to come. But we do all things to let dogs stay natural. Dehydrated kibble, we rehydrate it, okay? Unnatural materials and dog toys going into their mouth, or dog products placed onto them, we address. We will have In The Image Clothing Company dog products available, right? Imbalances are often in dog products, collars, leashes, and harnesses when it comes to the weight of them and how they fit around the dog. We can't be altering the dog just like the human being. There's only one way the human body could ever work, truly, okay? There's only one way a dog could ever work as well. It's just what it is. I say we're just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. So there you go, okay? I'll show this. This is a pretty generically average modern t-shirt. You've got a tag here, okay? Not always two tags in shirts, but sometimes, okay? This is the collar of the shirt. This tag is just against your body, okay? It's gonna damage your body. One of In The Image Clothing Company's two prerequisites just to not alter the body is removing all tags from clothing, because you've got just a cotton fabric, as it says, 100% cotton, okay? But then you've got this flappy material sticking out, and it's actually not a natural material. This is made of something synthetic, man-made, gone through a factory. So now this scratchy thing here is causing a gap against your back here, and it's off-centered. This tag's pretty well in the center, and then there's this one that's just off to the side. Either way, you don't want a gap there. So we remove all tags, and then secondly, our other prerequisite is to lace our shoes the only way the human foot is shaped. Yeah, it's just putting ropes across the top of the feet through holes in what we call a shoe that are called eyelets, okay? So there's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human foot and not alter its mechanics. That's what we call In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. And you can find how to do that wherever you find In The Image Clothing Company, our 5-word name as a whole. But yes, InTheImageClothingCompany.com is where all 4 sides of the company come to. But we have to tie our shoes evenly with lacing them the only way the human foot is shaped, because there's 2 sides to the body, okay? Over toward the inside is how we tie our shoes, and there you go. The 2 prerequisites, tags and shoe lacing. In The Image Clothing Company since the founding. It's been the same. Clothing for everybody has to fit in this location, because the body just has neutrals in every joint. It's just what it is. It just has to continue to work without being altered. And there's only one way it ever could. God designed it. We can't decide it. Our pants need to be entirely above our hips, slightly higher in the front than the rear, to keep the core muscles activated and our pelvis unrestricted. Okay? The tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders that need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, because our shoulders can only ever work behind our head. Just that's how they mechanically operate. That's the only thing they could ever do. And yes, okay, so the edge seams of our shoulders should ideally just be right at the very edge of the shoulders, where the functionality of the shoulder joint is. It's just a ball and socket capsule that allows motion for the shoulder, okay? Button-ups naturally sit behind the shoulders. They have a band of material rather than a singular seam. And there you go. Okay, there's our intros as we do it. And let's get into this, okay? So, as I say, first prerequisite to remove all tags. Many, many hundreds of In The Image Clothing Company videos have been made as of this one here. And it's always been the same since the founding, and it always will. Okay, how to allow, keyword, the human body to work. So now you've got this thing that's no longer just placed between your human skin and the item of clothing that's on you, okay? So often there's a store tag, and then you've got the tags that come in the actual clothing that should never, but they do. It wasn't even a thing until just decades back from today's date, which is actually the 13th of May, 2025. And it's a legal thing, right? You put what the clothing's made out of and the size, where the materials were sourced, okay? But now look at that. Now that's against your back, okay? These upper trapezius muscles, the ones that raise and lower the shoulders in the only location they ever could work, behind the human head. Yeah, okay, there you go. Tags removed from there. Now you come down here to the bottom, and this shirt has something that I say we should never have against our skin on tops that we wear, which is side seams, okay? Down the armpit of the sleeve to the bottom of the shirt, you have this seam here, okay? And that's against your rib cage. There's a video under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled How Clothing Affects the Rib Cage, okay? And, well, we don't want that against our side here when we're trying to breathe. Our arms naturally just rest down at our sides, and you've got this going on. But then when it comes to the bottom, they pin it flat, okay? So now it's going to just rotate your body. And on both sides, you've got that being the case. See how it's pinned flat? And so it just doesn't lay straight down with gravity. It twists. And so you've got that going on there. And then here in the sleeve, okay, into the armpit, this is this little sleeve of the short sleeve shirt. Coming down to the sleeve cuff, you've got the same thing going on. See how it's pinned flat? It's only going this way and then stitched. Well, that doesn't let your sleeve just naturally rest with gravity, pulling it straight down. It's rotating your sleeves and your whole arms and changing your shoulders. Okay. And then we've got the dreaded collar seam under In the Image Clothing Company, right? Our dreaded collar seam modification, and I'll do it to this shirt because it has it. This is one of the biggest things in clothing that's affecting people's bodies. And it just is so greatly. Okay, almost always on the left side, because like I say in that video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled The Right-Handed World, clothing patterns are just right-handed. And having this little collar seam placed on the left side, right? This is how the shirt would be on me. So on the rear of the collar, that little seam right there, it's on the upper left side of our shoulders, okay? Places the right side of the body lower because there's just excess material and all the things that we talk about it doing when it comes to the dreaded collar seam under In the Image Clothing Company. But right, this is the dreaded collar seam modification. As I've shown, you just follow the seam down, and right where it meets this little band of material, you just do a little snip right there in the top lip of this little band, okay? And then it allows that seam to sit evenly against your neck, and it's one of those things you just might not believe because it's so small, but as I say, we don't need to believe in anything. Truth is truth. It's massive. The effect that it's having to not allow the human body to just do the only thing it ever could. It changes your whole body to the tip of your toes and the tips of your fingers from that little tiny seam on your shoulder, okay? And the collar of a shirt. There's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled Keeping Collars Centered. And it won't be if you don't do the dreaded collar seam modification under In the Image Clothing Company. Now, because this shirt has a side seam, they have the ability to place a tag there, and so they've done it, okay? It's placed, it'd be like right here, okay, if I were wearing the shirt, and on the, yeah, no, damage to the body. So, come in with your scissors, cut it out, okay? Because the other thing is, like I was saying, sure, the shirt's 100% cotton, but this is not. So now you've got that slippery thing against your side here, and your body's just going to be entirely altered the whole time you're wearing the item of clothing because they've placed that there, okay? So what I do with these side seams, and it's not ideal because it could come unstitched easier, right? But I come down to, this is like the bottom of the shirt tail where the side seam comes down and it's pinned flat in one direction and stitched. I go right against the bottom of the shirt tail here and I just make a snip. And these definitely are not clothing scissors, but I do this because otherwise it's just going to rotate your whole hips and it's connecting them up to your shoulders with the side seam, okay? So your whole body is just being twisted and rotated from these side seams when they're stitched down flat like that. Because yeah, ideally there's no side seams, but anytime there's armpit seams, because there just about always is. I mean, it's just how you would have to, kind of how you'd have to stitch that. they have tubular shirts, right? So a shirt that's just one tube around, like what I'm wearing here, this green one underneath my button up. And so I guess you could maybe do that with the armpit sleeve that comes down here in the seam, but you know, the thing is, shirts often will just have a seam down here, down the little sleeve, even if they don't have side seams, but ideally they're just coming out straight and not pinned flat. This green shirt that I'm wearing right now just comes out nice and straight. Okay, so same thing here. I just come to the bottom of the sleeve cuff here on this short sleeve, and I just break that pinnedness of the stitch so that it can move both directions. See? And then your arms aren't just stuck in one direction because a seam's just pulling on them. I mean, that's what I mean when I say it's as real as it gets. This is what In The Image Clothing Company is, and this is every human being to ever live on the face of the earth. Their body will be just very, 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 very much damaged and altered from seams like this. And then you potentially wear a design like this every day for who knows how long, and just deeply, deeply, deeply ingrained patterning and scar tissue gets built up in your body. Because there's only one way the human body could ever work on Earth's gravity, with a center line and opposing sides and just neutrals in every joint. I mean, it's just what it is. And so what we place onto it has to be very intentional. Otherwise, we will be experiencing so much pain and damage through the whole body, into the nervous system, into the internal organs. They'll just sit differently. We'll be drinking so much more water, trying to stay hydrated, right? Because we talk about hydration, eating, sleeping, walking, sitting naturally. You know, all the things that we do as a human being, physical function wise, but we have to come at it through the only thing placed onto us physically. Otherwise, you'll never have any workout help you, any stretching help you. Muscles only contract. That's a video title of one of In The Image Clothing Companies, right, on our main side here. And stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. And stretching your muscles to get them to work better is exactly opposing the only thing they could ever do. So we just talk about things as they are, and there you go, okay? So what I did to this, now will make it pretty well work for my body, which is nuts, because you purchase clothing to clothe your body, and really what clothing is doing most commonly, if there's any imbalance in design, is actually just damaging us greatly. So I'll run over what I did here. I removed 1, 2, 3 tags. I did 1, 2, 3, 4 little snips to the stitches. I did In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, and there you go, okay? So now the seams can sit pretty well even with gravity, and even with just both internal and external rotation of the arm, and not be rotating the hips, right, with those seams at the bottom of the side seams at the shirt tail, okay? So there you go, okay? The reason why this video is so big is because this, like the title, right? The average modern t-shirt. That's stuff that's coming in most modern t-shirts nowadays. If you go to any place that sells apparel, it will be extremely common for you to find this design, okay? With just about all these things, just about this exact way. And the human body clashes with that, and we don't have a say over the human body or how it works by any means. We didn't design it, we can't decide it is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but we do design clothing that we then put onto our bodies. So this is why In the Image Clothing Company is huge, okay? And I've been saying since the founding back in September of 2024, In the Image Clothing Company is going to be huge, and it just is already because of the impact of this, and it just, is what it is. So check out InTheImageClothingCompany.com for all the scheduling of events. Poodle parades under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, where we get together with our purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size, and we'll hang out, do what we do, go on hikes and walks, right? We do a lot of advocacy for proper breeding, good dog ownership, taking accountability as the owner of dogs. A lot of things like that is actually what we do on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And then yes, any event for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company as well when it comes to clothing for human beings and me, giving information for and with people. It's all scheduled on InTheImageClothingCompany.com. So thank you. I'm gonna get out of this rainy wind. I've actually got somewhere to be in about 10 minutes. But yes, it's the 13th of May, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, and I love this unconventional video because I tend to have that be the case, actually. Like, our official In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique video is very unconventionally filmed, and so is our official In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification video. And it seems to be these videos that are really hard hitting end up being the ones that get filmed differently than a lot of the other ones, because they're usually pretty similar, right? Just out in that nice open field with the grass is where I normally have been filming these videos up until now for In the Image Clothing Company's main site. So anyway, thank you. There you go. 100% natural materials. It's a must because the body is natural. And as I say, right, we're not about sales. In the Image Clothing Company, clothing, dog products, the puppies to come, but what we do have available will help you, and that's the reason why. We also give so many free modifications, though, like this video, that just will change the entirety of your life, because the entirety of your life you wear clothing. So it has to just allow the body to work, okay? And it's just not in modern design. But certainly In the Image Clothing Company clothing will. But it has to be in your size. Oversized clothing in itself is damaging to the human being beyond what you could understand if you just don't, right? Until you see what's happening. So there you go, okay? Yeah. Thank you.